What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. Thanks for pressing play. Today we are going to be taking the C8 Corvette Z06 back to the dealership because we have to get the 7,500 mile maintenance plan done. So let's do it. All right, guys, so if you've been following the channel at all, you already know that I've done the maintenance on this car twice now in the 7,500 miles that I've had it. I've changed the oil twice, I've changed the transmission filter twice, and you're probably asking yourselves by now, Justin, why are you doing this again and you're only at 8,000 miles? Well, there's a reason, and it's because GM wants documentation that this was done at 7,500 miles. Now, in my case, I'm at, I think, 8,100, but there is a little bit of obviously a cushion there because not everybody can get to the dealership at exactly 7,500 miles. So we're going to be doing this for maintenance documentation purposes. This is something that GM recommends, and actually they kind of force you to do. So even if you've done it in the past, like I have, I had my first one done at 2,000 miles, and then the second one I did myself at 6,000 miles. This one's going to be getting done at about 8,000 miles, but with a record at GM. Now, the really interesting part of all of this is that when I scheduled this appointment at the same dealership I've used in the past, because they do have a Corvette tech on hand, it told me the total for this service, which is just an oil change and the transmission filter change, was $1,002. $1,000 for this. So last time I was there, whenever they did this under the maintenance plan for me, so it was free of cost, they told me that if I brought my own filter, brought my own oil filter and trans filter, all that stuff, that it would cut the cost down to about $500 to $600. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I have all of the stuff to take. I'm taking everything to them, but with a little bit of a twist, because I've done this so many times in the past, I need to add a little bit of transmission fluid as well. So they have to top off the fluid. We're going to show you how to do that right now. And here's the stuff that we need. So we got 6 quarts of 5W50 right here with an additional 2, so that brings us up to our 8 quarts that we need. We got the oil filter right here, which is, there's the part number you're going to need if you want to do this yourself. That's the oil filter, and then in here is the trans filter. So we got all of that covered, and then I'm also going to go into my handy dandy material holder here and grab the transmission fluid as well, because we are going to be topping that off, and I'm only going to be paying for labor today. And it's not because I can't do this myself, it's because GM needs documentation for warranty purposes that this stuff was done. So that's the only reason I'm not doing this myself. I've done this myself already once. You guys have probably seen the video. If not, check it out right up here. But anyway, let's get into the car and get on the road. You know it's getting cooler in Pennsylvania whenever your tire pressures start dropping, but those will come up in a second. But I wanted to show the mileage just for documentation purposes. I'm at 8215, so like I said, a little over the 7,500, but it'll be all right. Anyway, I'm going to film some of the process here, but the biggest thing I'm going to film is the way that they add the transmission fluid to the car, because that is something I have not shown in the past. There is a specific O-ring you need for it, and there's a specific spot where the fill port is, and it's not where you think it is, so stay tuned. All right, guys, so here we are at the #1 Cochrane here in Zillinople, or Cranberry area. This is where we brought the car the last time to get the same kind of procedure done, but this time it's not covered under the maintenance plan because we already had that done once. So like I showed you in the beginning, this is $1,002 if you don't bring your own equipment. I'm going to show you exactly how much it's going to cost after providing the oil or the filter and all that stuff, because there is a difference in price. We're going to find out exactly how much that is. All right, guys, so we're about to go. She looks good going. So guys, if this feels a little bit like deja vu, it's because I filmed a very similar video here last year whenever I had the transmission filter and oil change and everything done at around 2,000 miles. We're at 8,200 now, and like I said, documentation purposes for warranty, we're doing it again here, but I'm bringing the material. So we're going to see how much down from $1,002 it brings us by bringing our own stuff, because I spent roughly $250-ish on the stuff that they're going to be loading into the car. So we'll see how much we save. Now, one of the first things they're going to do here is obviously get the car up in the air, and they're actually going to do the flush procedure, which flushes all of the dirty fluid basically out of the clutches and into the transmission filter before they do the filter change. This is the one thing you can't do technically on your own whenever you do this fluid change or filter change, but there is a kind of a way around it. If you actually hold your foot to the floor on the brake and then punch the gas almost as if you're going to launch it, it kind of does the same thing. So this is GM's way of doing it a little safer, I guess. So in a second he's going to hook it up to the machine and start the process of basically, I think it's a 2,000 or 3,000 RPM for like 10 minutes. All right guys, so he's about to do the trans fluid flush procedure. He's in the car right now, but like I said, it will actually be held at this RPM via OBD2 port for, I think he said 5 or 10 minutes. And this is just flushing that fluid through. If you take your car in for service, yours will do the same thing. It's just a fluid flush to get all the dirty fluid into that filter before they change the filter. Standing about 30 feet away or so, it's still pretty loud. It's been pretty close to 5 minutes, so that should be shutting off here in a second. But I wanted to, it's gonna be hard to see on camera, so I'm gonna put a picture in, but check out this billboard. This was making me laugh. Nice and hot, right?
After the 10-minute flush, you know?
So, first drain plug. This is obviously for the oil. That's the second drain plug. That's you're a pro at that. I was not able to get my hand out of there without getting drenched in that.
Doesn't always work that way.
That's like water. It's really hot too, I guess. So again, oil is right there. We're doing that. The trans filter, maybe adding some trans fluid if necessary. And he said something about a recall too. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, to do a reflash on the ECM, I believe.
So that's for making sure that the car goes into park, even if you don't hit park, basically, whenever you press the power button.
Correct, yeah, it just changes some parameters a little bit just to ensure for safety reasons that everything's okay.
Okay.
So it'll just be an updated calibration on the ECM. I'm not sure if it does anything in the transmission control module as well. I need to check real quick. I think it's just an ECM.
Either way,
sometimes they blanket, multiple modules at once with something like that. So.
Yeah. Either way, I had not heard that there was an update, so good to know. And guys, you remember, this is Greg. He did the same thing about a year ago. Literally, it was almost exactly a year ago. It's kind of funny, but it's nice coming to the dealership and dealing with the same people again. So always a pro as far as that's concerned. But
I appreciate it.
Oil filter time. Had to get a little dirty on that one.
Yeah, I got a couple drops on me there. Versus the old.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too dirty. That's only got about 2,000 miles on it.
Certainly is not. New seal for the cap.
Looks like you've done this before.
Yeah, a couple times.
So something we just kind of noticed here, guys, I was looking up underneath the car and you can see a bundle of wires right there that's literally resting on what looks like the lower control arm, and it's kind of split open. So there was actually a bulletin about this a little while ago, but it was only something to look into if you were getting a check engine light from it, because eventually it would wear through those wires. But luckily I saw it while we were doing some of the oil change here. So he's going to wrap it up real tight and make sure that it doesn't rest on that arm anymore. But yeah, this is why you check out the bottom of your car every now and then. This is the million screw part. It makes no sense why this thing has so many screws on. Trans filter housing. You guys have seen this before, but that's what's happening now. Trans filter's out. New gasket. Also, every one of these filters comes with all 4 new bolts too, so you don't reuse the old ones, you just throw them away.
The screws.
There they are.
Cover plate.
So under here, guys, looking at that fill or that transmission plate, the fill port is actually right there. So that bolt right there, you take that out, you pump the fluid in until it starts rolling out, then you cap it back off. But there is a gasket that goes on there too. So if you remove that bolt, this little yellow gasket, I've gotten a lot of questions from you guys as to what that is with the transmission filter whenever you buy it. That's what that is. That's the gasket for the fill port. If you remove that bolt and fill it up, you'll replace that gasket as well. Now, this is different, obviously, from the overfill port that's in the engine bay. That is for the Stingrays to add the additional 2 quarts, because when you add that 2 quarts additional on the older Stingrays, you're actually overfilling it by 2 quarts. So you can't use this same fill port. 17 millimeter for the fill port plug, guys. So got to start the car up. Let the fluid kind of cycle through the new filter as well and get warmed up before you check the fluid level of the transmission. So that's what we're bringing it down now, to put the oil in, start the car up, get it back up to temperature, then check the trans filter, or the trans fluid, I mean. That's how you know you're dealing with a professional right there. Don't mess around with any of those weird funnels, you get the good one. Especially whenever you're dumping 8 to 10 of these things in at a time, you just set it in there. You don't actually have to hold it. It's pretty nice. All right, oil's in. He's gonna fire it up, let the car warm up a little bit before we check the trans fluid level. Again, this is something that's overlooked a lot whenever doing the maintenance on your own. You want to make sure that fluid level is good, because I've done this now it's the 3rd time, and every time it loses roughly a little less than a 1/4 of a quart, so probably like a 1/6 of a quart. So I'm roughly at this point about half a quart now-ish, assuming it wasn't overfilled from factory, but we're going to find out. If anything leaks out of there, I guess we got our answer. Oh, it is. Okay, so we've changed it 3 times now, so it must have been overfilled a little bit from factory, or it's just not something you have to really do much with. So no fill or top off required here, and that's 3 times this filter's been changed. So you don't lose a whole lot of fluid whenever you're changing it. So yeah, there you go, guys. I know a couple of you asked me about this. It's not something you have to do.
Should double check, but
Yeah, it never hurts to double check, but, and then this, that makes me sad, but it happens, I guess. Okay, now it's coming down again to run again on kind of a diagnostic thing, but this is a leak check. So it's gonna run for a couple minutes just to make sure that nothing's leaking. Then put the panels back on and we are good to go. Appears to be leak free, but I guess we'll see in a second.
looks good.
Looks good. So what did you call that?
Pet tape.
Pet tape.
Yeah, it's an abrasion resistant tape.
It's gonna kind of help hold it up off of the lower control arm. Yeah, so it looks better than stock in there now. I love it. So yeah, these are the little things you notice whenever you have your car up in the air, but Greg's taking care of it, of course. So there it is, all wrapped up, guys. You can see it's pulled up off that control arm a good bit. Wires are not exposed anymore. Definitely something to keep an eye on. I did not realize that this was going to be an issue coming into this, but this is why you want to get your car up in the air and just take a look at things every now and then, because if that was left unchecked, that very easily could have worn through some wires and caused maybe some serious issues. So this is a recall, right?
Correct, for an ECM update.
All right, guys, so Greg is doing the recall on the Z06 right now. And what was the reason you said that it couldn't be done over the air?
Because of the setup procedures, and an ECM is engine management, so it's difficult to do that over the air. It needs to be a hard wire to do that.
Okay. So this is something you guys are going to want to check out on your cars as well. Odds are good you have the same recall pending. All right, so there it is. I'm surprised I have not seen this yet. So, service update, lack of auto park function, just brought out August 12th of 24. So that's what it's fixing. It's basically making it so if you press the start-stop button without putting the car in park, it's definitely going to put it in park first. Apparently this was an issue. You said this update was good for 40 horsepower, right? Alright guys, so there we have it. We are 100% oil, 100% transmission filter. I need some gas really badly, but we're going to go do that afterwards here. I wanted to finish out this video by showing the total that I ended up paying. So I provided the oil filter, the transmission filter, and the transmission fluid if we had used any, which we did not. But here is the total, $505.62. Now, the real beauty of this is because my car's a 2023, I had the 500,000 GM points. That's what paid for this. So I am out of pocket $0. This is on the books as being done for warranty documentation purposes. So GM can't void my warranty or anything for not having the filter and the oil done at 7,500 miles, because they do, from what this dealership told me, give you around 1,000-mile cushion. So if you're over 7,500 miles by 1,000 miles or so, they'll still be okay with that as far as warranty is concerned. So I could have gone to 8,500 and still been okay. After that, things start to get questioned because, you know, you should be able to get in here within 1,000 miles. But anyway, guys, that is it. Hopefully this helped you out. Guys, check out the #1 Cochrane here in Cranberry, which is where I come every time, because this is one of the only dealerships near me that has a Corvette tech on hand. His name is Greg. He's an awesome dude. If you come out here and deal with Greg with your Corvette, tell him Horsepower Obsessed sent you, and you'll get the best possible service. But for now, guys, I'm going to go get some gas. So smash the thumbs up button if you liked what you saw. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And as always, stay obsessed. And again, guys, just like last time, this car is shifting like it's brand new again. Literally only put about 2,000 miles on the car since I did the transmission filter, and it's still shifting like it's brand new all over again. This filter needs changed way more often than GM's telling you to do it. I would say at very least every 2,500 to 3,000 miles, maybe even more. Yeah, this is incredible.